Like I said at the end of the last video, when I do a full turning chain for a double crochet, my ends end up a bit bumpy. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I don't like that. And there are others out there like me who don't as well. So through them and the magic of the internet, I found alternatives to the turning chain that I'm going to share with you in this video, if this thing happens to you and you also dislike it. So I made some examples. So this is a different yarn but close to the same size, and you can see there's the bumps on the edge because that's the full 3 chains and then into the first stitch. So if you'll notice though, up here, this one sticks out more than this one. One thing you can do if you still want to do a full turning chain is when you do your turning chain them really tight. This one I did 3 chains, but they were really tight, a lot tighter than I would do at the beginning or in other places. And as a result, it does stick closer in. It's still a bit of a bump, but that is one option for you, is to just to do the turning chains really tight. Another common thing that crocheters do is they do a turning chain, 3 chains, and then they skip the first stitch and go into the second stitch. And then that turning chain takes the place of the first stitch. Now, clearly, in this one, when I do it, I end up with a bit of a gap at the end of each row. And I tried it both ways, where down here, I crocheted directly into the stitch, and then up here, you can see I crocheted into the space in between instead of the stitch itself, and it's still a gap. So I kept looking for another option, and I found this. Basically, what you do is just 1 chain, but you pull up long, and I'll show you how it works in practice in a minute. You pull up long and then turn it, and then you just double crochet into the first stitch like normal. And you can see these edges are much straighter, much prettier, much nicer. I like them a lot, and that is what I do. And if it's a shorter stitch, like a single crochet or half double crochet, then I don't chain at all. I just pull up a bit at the end of the row and then turn and then go into the first stitch. So let's see what it looks like in practice. Here you can see I've started a very small crochet project that's just 4 stitches, and you can see even when you use a full turning chain, it can be confusing because it looks like a stitch, but it's not a stitch. It's actually 4 stitches and then a turning chain. So one option to try and get your edges straighter is to just chain really tight on the turning chain. So just barely get the hook through. 1, 2, 3, and then turn and double crochet into the first stitch like normal, and then across, 2, 3, 4. All right, and you can see it does look a lot better than before. It doesn't stick out as much as this one. It still sticks out a bit. It's not even with that, but it is better. So that's one option for you to try. If you'd like to try using the turning chain as a stitch, what you'll do is chain 3 times, 2, 3, turn, and then when you go to double crochet, you're going to skip this first stitch and go to the second stitch, like this. 3, 4. The 3 stitches, and your 4th stitch is this turning chain. So I'll show you again. 1, 2, 3 chains, turn, and then crochet into the second stitch, not the first, the second. 2, 3, And when you get to the end of your row, the last stitch is going to go into the turning chain from the row before. So this top chain, the third chain, you're going to crochet into there for your last stitch. Here. To the chain. There we go. Right, so these two rows are using the turning chain as a stitch, and I have massive gaps. I will say I do use this on occasion, sometimes if I'm crocheting in the round, or if the beginning of the row is sort of lacy and it has a couple of chains afterwards, because it doesn't affect the look as much. But I prefer this last way. What you do is you chain, but you pull up, not quite that much, but you pull up with it so that it's a long chain, and then you turn and double crochet into the first row, the first stitch like normal. 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to crochet underneath here for speed's sake. Right, and that's what the end looks like. So again, just pull up a bit as you chain, turn, and then into the first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, see, this is a much cleaner look. So I recommend trying all 3 ways, or maybe even trying just 2 chains and then going into it. And this can be adapted for other stitches as well. For a half double crochet, you would do 2 chains as your turning chain and then into the next stitch. And when I'm doing it this way, for a half double crochet, I'll pull up just a little, and for a single crochet, I'll pull up and then I won't chain. I'll just turn and then go into the first stitch. So good luck with your crochet practice, and I'll see you next week where we will learn the triple crochet, make our last coaster, and I will show you how to read a pattern so that you can use your new knowledge and make whatever your heart desires. I'll see you there. Like I said at the end of the last video, oh, that's upside down. Okay, let's try this again. No, is it? No. Yes? No, it was right side up. Okay, Sarah. And it's not pretty. So, oh, that's upside down. Dang it, Sarah.